Blessed good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction. Let me welcome our listeners, our viewers on the World Wide Web who continue to tune in on a regular basis to the facts that comes to you through our various platforms. Today, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, I trying to make up my mind where to really start. Because there is so much that is happening in this country that one really doesn't know where to start. On a daily basis, we continue to see the flip-flop of this government. Every single God-given day, that you rise to see, it is problems, and more problems. We have so much problems at hand that sometimes I try to wonder how you folks see through a day with what is happening in this country. We are seeing problems in every institution, from government to schools, to DPP, to judiciary, to law association, to licensing office, to road and infrastructure ministry, local government, community development. Well, don't talk about health, finance. Every ministry in this country, it appears as though that these ministries are run by dummies. And when I say dummies, I'm speaking about real dummies. Because, ladies and gentlemen, today a gentleman called me and he said, Mr. Roberts, I don't know how I'm going to live throughout this next couple of weeks. Nothing from social welfare. And when I call them, they tell me about a glitch and a glitch and a glitch. Over 200 people glitching. Over 200 people. You say you have a water bill to pay, you have a light bill to pay. No food in your house. And every time you call social welfare, they're telling you there's a glitch in the system. But I would expect and understand why there is a glitch in the system. Because when you have a glitch in governance, and you have a bunch of liars that will stand up and speak to you on a regular basis like Keith Rowley, I understand why the country, why we are where we are. I understand why. The problem with that is if you understand why. So let me start the ball rolling. Dr. Keith Rowley said, it will take a box of breeze and a steel scrubbing brush to clean up TNT from what Kamala has done to it. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, because we will be springboarding to and fro while all you keep that in all your mind. An Express story by Rhea Tate. Headline: DPP's bulletproof building never used, say PM. And that PM is not project manager. That PM is Prime Minister. In an apparent criticism of the DPP, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said that for the past 3 years, the government had been paying millions of dollars to rent an executive office space for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for a building that the DPP chose not to use. You have the Prime Minister of this country, a man who I consider to be the biggest dummy, the biggest idiot, the biggest clown, the biggest to sit on the chair as a Prime Minister in this country, and would put out, would allow out of his, I want to say probably his nostril, because you have to be the biggest dummy as a Prime Minister to stand up and tell this country that your government has been spending millions of dollars, taxpayers' money, for a bulletproof building that you telling us that the DPP chose not to use. So what we supposed to do, Rowley? What we supposed to do? We supposed to say the DPP at fault? What we supposed to do? You tell us. But when you speak to a bunch of educated idiots in a country like you did recently, while all of you dress up with all the red, and who in dress in red, the belly red, and who belly in red, everything else red, when you could stand up and talk to a group of idiots, educated idiots, who have no brain to disseminate and to understand what you are saying to us as a country, as a leader, as a Prime Minister, and they will clap and laugh and rant and rave. I understand why the children in the schools continue to behave how they're behaving, because they themselves know that this country is lawless. We are in a lawless country, and when you have a Prime Minister who operates lawlessly and a president who operates lawlessly, what you expect the rest of the country to do? Keith Rowley stood up and speak about people disrespecting the office of the Prime Minister and the office of the president. Well, today, Keith Rowley, I want to tell you the biggest disrespect to the office of the Prime Minister is you sitting in that office. That That is the biggest disrespect. You sitting in the office as the Prime Minister, that is a big disrespect to the office. What you expect, Keith Rowley? The office of the Prime Minister, the office holder, they are the ones to ensure that they conduct themselves in a manner that the population would respect the office that they sit in. But when you, Keith Rowley, could stand up in the presence of a bunch of dotish people who will laugh and find folly when you stood up and speak about some woman, some girl, according to you, who stand up and whine back on you for carnival, and what the UNC expect you to do to run, you're shameless, Rowley. You are a shameless individual. You are a disrespect to your own self. You must tell this country, Keith Rowley, if that young girl who you was whining on, if she end up with a HGC house, you must tell this country, Keith Rowley, what was the process? If she get that house, what was the process? What was the length of time it took for her to end up with her HGC keys in her hands, Keith Rowley? You must tell the country you are nothing but a shameless man. That is what you are. A 17-year-old girl. And I want to ask Rohan Sinanan, while you boasting that Rohan was by your side, I want to ask Rohan Sinanan, if that girl was compensated for this action. Watch Keith Rowley, Trinidad and Tobago. The man who say a girl come from Norway and whine back on him. What we want we to do? Watch him. Watch the shameless man. Watch him. Watch his hands. The girl come and whine back on him from nowhere. Watch his hands. Watch his hands, Trinidad and Tobago. Watch him good. Keith Rowley, I want to ask you, while you was jamming still, where was your wife, you shameless piece of man? Where was your wife? That is the question that Trinidad and a bunch of people in closed environment will hear you talk and spew this pack of hogwash, and they will laugh and clap and ray. It reminds me of Pigot's Corner, when you stood up and tell the red and ready idiots that you live in Mason Hall, that is close to Lekito, and the last man who put you out of the parliament, what happened to him? That is what this reminds me of. And the bunch of idiots clap and ray at a former prime minister who shoes Keith Rowley. You are not even fit to carry or to clean the dog poo-poo off. You are not even fit to clean the dog poo-poo off of Manning shoes. And let me tell you this one time. If I was Manning's son, Keith Rowley, if I was Manning's son, Keith Rowley, I would never, ever sit in any government that you leads. But you see, what happens is PNM people, they are accustomed eating the shame. So when they eat the shame, Rowley, they will sit with you. That is what happened. If I was Manning's son, Keith Rowley, boy, you making joke, yes? You making joke. This man, Keith Rowley, was a diplomat in front of you, was a gentleman in front of you. The traits and the moral integrity of Patrick Manning, Keith Rowley, you are left wanting. You stand up at Pigot's Corner and your PNM brigade, they rejoice and they laugh.
And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
Boy, some PNM people just have no shame, boy. Rowley, some PNM people just like you should be ashamed to stand up and brag and boast about some girl come and whine back on you and what the UNC expect you to run. No, Keith Rowley, the UNC expects you to be a man of integrity, a man of decency, a man with shame. That is what we expect you to do. That is what we expect you to do. But you see, when you have a man, old people always say, when a dog suck an egg, you could put a hot egg in the dog mouth. As soon as it get cold, he gonna suck it. When you have a man sitting down as a prime minister who impregnate a girl at school age, a girl at school age, you know what is a dog that suck an egg? Or you know what is a dog that suck an egg? Anytime the egg get cold, he wanted to suck. What's your age, Keith Rowley? What's your age? Did you have time to find out the age of that same girl? Or the alcohol was in your head? Somebody tell me you're talking about Anil Roberts. Let me deal with that one time too. Somebody tell you disappointed with parents who would not pull the children and who not responsible and who not. Rowley, you really are no shame out. Like you really are no shame, boy. You talking about responsible? You talking about parents should pull the children? Every child in this country, Keith Rowley, is ashamed of you as the prime minister. Every boy and every girl, they are ashamed of you being the prime minister of this country. And he'll tell you he went on the line and he had a time. And he said if he offended you, he apologized. And he didn't fall down in no panyard in no Rowley. And he didn't fall down and talk about the feeling faintish when alcohol in your head, you know. He didn't do that. He ain't jumping up with Tom, Dick and Harry, but in your case it's Lucy, Jane and Patsy. We see photos of you on social media, Keith Rowley, in every cozy corner, posing with everybody except your wife. But you talking about a girl come and whine on you and what the UNC expect you to do? Keith Rowley, it was you. It was Blissy Prasad. It was the President Paula May Weeks. It was you guys, Keith Rowley, who desecrated the office of the president. It was you guys, Keith Rowley, who collapsed the whole Police Service Commission by all your misbehavior. According to section 123 of the Constitution. Keith Rowley, it is you, Keith Rowley, who allowed the desecration of the Attorney General office, Keith Rowley, is not just the Prime Minister office and the President office, Keith. Keith Rowley, it is you that bring the office of the Chief Justice into disrepute when you fail to set up the tribunal to give the Chief Justice the opportunity to clear his name with the scandal that comes out of the Law Association and a boy by the name of Dillian Johnson in the UK, Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley, it is you who in only break up the morality of one Attorney General. If we had two Attorney General office, your government, and you allow the both of them to mash up in this country. It is you, Keith Rowley, that allow your former Attorney General Faris Alwari to put together this sweetheart deal with Vincent Nelson. It is your government under your watch, Keith Rowley. After you have cut a deal with Vincent Nelson to lock up two individuals, it is you, Faris, and your government that took taxpayers' money and paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in pongs to represent the same Nelson that all you lock up. If that wasn't bad enough, Keith Rowley, it is you, Keith Rowley, who stood up and refused to move Reginald Lyon Amor as the sitting Attorney General after he went to a Miami court and fibbed. Keith, he fib. If you don't know what fib means, Keith, he lie. And if you don't know what lie means, Keith, he spoke on truth. But I will expect you to defend him, Keith, because you are a better liar than him. You are a better liar, Keith Rowley, than Amor. You stood up and you tell us, let me speak to the mothers. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin, you liar. And in case you was coming out of your fridge and you probably was closing the door and you didn't hear, let me repeat it, liar. You stood up, Keith Rowley.
But I want to talk to the mothers,
Yeah.
the children, the neighbors, and all those who are attached to the Petrotrin business to make one clear statement to you first and foremost.
Yes,
the
man.
government is not closing down Petrotrin.
Liar. Liar.
And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
You see the crowd? You see the clapping PNM idiots? You see the crowd, the clapping PDM? Actually, I had the clip. You have the clip with this carnival girl where he was talking to the big PNM crowd and he defending that the girl come and whine on him. Yeah, that's the one he's supposed to send for you. Oh, all right. We will use that later on. There is a clip on social media. A clip on social media. I have it on my phone here.
I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I understand the consequences of my actions, whatever they may.
Listen to this clip. I'm going to play it here, actually. I'll just play it on the mic here. It coming? All right, good. As you get it, go bring it. Bring it. Play it if you have it one time. This is the man that all you're defending. I want all to watch the crowd of people. I want them to see, I want to let us see the crowd of PNM people who would tolerate the nonsense that this big bald idiot that we have for our prime minister would stand up shamelessly and try to encourage his supporters to believe what he did was moral, to believe what he did was ethical, to believe what he did was becoming a prime minister.
People in clothes, woman half naked. I mean, you remember how they behave? A girl came and danced on me in a carnival band. You remember how they behave? I in the band, quiet, doing my little chip. I hear Regrelo Day, Rohan Sinanande, and we going on the road chip. As we approaching the stage, I mean, young lady combining back. And my singular crime then, as far as the UNC was concerned, is that a woman went back on me and I didn't run.
All you see the shameless man. All you see the shameless man that all you and the watch. Let me tell you what sick me the most. I seen young ladies in that crowd, and it's as if they were saying, "Well, Prime Minister, I am available for you to whine on to." Watch the face, watch the expression. A bunch of young people who should condemn the behavior of this elderly idiot we have for our prime minister. They're laughing and they're rejoicing and they're encouraging and they're rain. Yes, Prime Minister, you did a good job. A bunch of shameless PNM people in a room. That is where this country reach. That all you will support the behavior of Keith Rowley, an old man who should be a grandpa and who should have respect for himself, who should respect the age of his children, and most important, who should have been respecting his wife. But he's studying ANIL. He's studying ANIL. Don't study ANIL, Rowley. You cannot step in ANIL's shoes, Rowley. ANIL is a professional. While you are not. You are the worst human being to ever sit in the chair as a prime minister. Worst to be the leader. And I hear you talking about Watson Duke. Anil Roberts is a professional. He trains. He is competent. He is ethical in what he do. Unlike you, who ought to be a professional. Shameless. So here what I want to know. Since Regrello or whoever was with you chipping, and since Rohan Sinanan was chipping, and since this young 17-year-old girl was chipping all the way to our HCC house, what I want to know, Rowley, is when this young lady applied for our HCC house. I also want to know how long did the process take, Rowley, for this young lady to achieve the goal? Was it just the trip from point A to point B? Well, let me tell you something. That young lady had to be a real good chipper. She had to be a good chipper. Because if one chip, according to you, you're going on your own merry business. I want to know. I know chip does be all on that rock and all kind of thing, but you get a chip on the stage. And I want to know, if you chip in minding your business, I want you to tell the hundreds of people, the thousands of citizens who have applied for HCC houses for years and cannot see a key. I want the commissioner of police to look into this affair. And then you had the audacity to speak about disrespecting the office of the prime minister and the president. Boy, it's better you to just say the president alone. You might have still look better. It's better you to just say the office of the president. But as you include the office of the prime minister and use the office holder and your example as a prime minister in every category, rotten from the head. You speaking about people disrespecting, and then you have some of your followers who is shameless just as you. I know, Rowley, let me help you out. I know men that thief a wine for carnival. And when a man going and thief a wine for carnival, he watching all about to make sure he didn't have a camera. I go tell you why just now. And as he take a little wine, he gone. You know why, Rowley? Let me tell you why. That you are careful about talking at you, boy. Because see she watching me already. Rowley, let me tell you why. It's because they have some level of respect and some level of sanity. Some level of respect. I remember in the days when I growing up, I know chatting this young girl. And don't get tired up, I was young just as the age of the girl. Because the same girl I married, but unfortunately it didn't work out how I wanted to work out. So I'm help you to understand that. But you know what? When I go carnival and I take in a little wine, I watching right wrong because I even want nobody go and tell my girlfriend, hey, the man was jamming on a thing. You understand? You could have never seen me behaving like this when I know it have a girlfriend who involved. Watch the little chip all there. This is the little chip the man take. But I want to watch him. Watch him, yeah. Bite your lip, man. Bite your lip and hold that, hope that the honey go to eat kick in. Yeah, bite your lip. Bite your lip, Rowley. Bite your lip. Watch your hand, boy. Watch your hand. Watch your hand. Watch your hand. Where your hand? He taking that chip. But he hug up. He taking that chip. Yes, man, Keith, man. Yes, take a chip. And this is what PNM support. This is what they support. I can now understand why this PNM government doesn't want to do anything about the Judith Jones report. I now understand why this PNM government would hide up this report for months, and even as we speak, still does not implement one iota of the report to protect these little boys and girls from the predators. Some of the predators who sit in government. And I want to make this clear. I ain't talking about government according to the US standard. I'm talking about government according to we standard. So this have nothing to do with the opposition. The pedophiles that continues to harbor within the government of Trinidad and Tobago,
What happened to all them pedophile stories all of a sudden?
Actually, so you realize it's only we on this side dealing with that issue. That is a dead issue as far as the PNM is concerned. They don't care about pedophiles. Let me take back that. No, wait. Let me take back that. They don't care about the children. They have a family day most of the time on Eddie Hart Gong. And that is the day that the pedophile scouts will come out. And they will scout around and target little boys and girls. And let me tell you this, Archie. There's a sitting minister of government who brother pick up Akil Chambers on that fateful night. Let me say it again. There is a sitting minister of government whose brother was the driver who took up innocent Akil Chambers. For these wicked, brutal, dirty, nasty, stinking animals that we call men to abuse and to murder. And then Archbishop Gordon telling me, Victor Roberts, that we mustn't talk about these things. Archbishop Gordon, climb back in your little corner. You see the little corner? Climb back inside that corner and keep your little mouth shut out of serious business. Because you, Archbishop Gordon, and I come like David Nackett now. I come like David Nackett. You see that name, Archbishop? Man, I'll kick that name out the window. So you, Gordon, there's no Archbishop for you. You stay out of this business. You know why? You, as the man who holds that authoritative power given down to you by the Pope, you should have been the one that's speaking out against the wrong that is happening in our country. But you know what? All you rather hide behind that cross or have on the neck. And when all you hide behind that cross, all you becomes the cross. So all you come like the cross in the church. because Olen stand up and speak out against what's happening. I want to ask you, Gordon, how much of the Judith Jones report have your organization implement to protect them little boy Bam Bam? How many of the Judith Jones report your organization have implemented to protect our little boys and girls in these homes? And until, Gordon, all you implement and put measures to protect these children from the abuse, then just shut your mouth and mind your business. Drink some wine and mind your business. Because this country is a real country. But the activities that is passing under this government, then this is not a real place. Because no real country, these activities would have gone unscaled, where little children are involved with the pain and agony and torture, the scars, the burns from cigarette and tobacco, the pain and agony. That these children felt and continue to, without any measures of protection. This is what you don't want me to talk. You don't want me to talk and say the church have failed the children. That is what you don't want me to say. You don't want us to come out and tell the world that you as the Archbishop have not implemented any measure of protection according to the Judith Jones report for our children. Boy, I am so angry with the level of hogwash that we continue to accept in this country and feel proud and happy when our citizens suffering and dying on a daily basis. My partner went to the health center, and let me tell you something. It's agony and more agony, pain and more pain, and you can't talk. Because if you talk, you might end up with a bad injection. If you only talk, you might end up with a bad injection. So what you feel this place really going to? It's going to the dogs. You know why it's going to the dogs? Because some human being will support what Rowley is doing and saying and rejoice. Let me tell you something. My father is a PNM, a dead PNM. He dead. And my father took a position that he was not going to vote for Philip Salazar. Philip Salazar was a councillor for Erin. And my father, while he was a PNM, took a position and upon principle, moral principle, my father said he would not vote for Philip Salazar. And that is what he did. You know why? My father was a churchman, so to speak. That's how we call them. And my father took spirituality serious. And my father said, he will not support unethical behavior and vote for any individual who demonstrates a level of a particular behavior. And when election came, Edwin Roberts did not vote for Philip Salazar. And not only did not vote, Edwin Roberts did not pick up or influence one individual to go out and vote for his councillor and for his party. That says two things here this evening. That says two things here this evening. I want you to bear in mind that Victor Roberts is a chip from Edwin Roberts. Bear in mind that Victor Roberts is a chip from Edwin Roberts. I will not support, period, any unethical behavior by any one of our colleagues in the party that I am a lifetime member, which is the United National Congress. Write that down. Write that down. I'm not a little afraid to say Victor Roberts say so, because I say what I mean and I mean what I say. So if I would not support that in the party that I belong to, I will never let that stone rest in the party of the PNM as long as I have breath in this body. I doesn't business who like me or who don't like me. I ain't business with that. If I one or two people who like me, and if a woman sit down here who love me, this kind of behavior in government must not be tolerated ever. We have a prime minister who stood up in the diplomatic center, met with a whole PDVSA team from Venezuela. Delcy Rodriguez, Astrubal Chavez, Juan Sanchez, and the whole team. And Rowley will stand up and tell you, while he had Stuart Young as the National Security Minister, while they're fully well aware that Delcy Rodriguez and others are wanted by the U.S. authorities. And Rowley will tell you that he did not know who was coming on that delegation. To top it off, when the media inquire what was this high power PDVSA oil company delegation doing in the diplomatic center, your prime minister who doesn't lie, your prime minister who always talk the truth. Archie had a clip where he say don't lie, where he does always talk the truth. That is what he said. He does talk the truth. Let me see if I actually get it before I say what I'm going to say. You know what the man said? The man stand up and said to you, the people of this country, that this high profile oil team, this PDVSA oil team that came to Trinidad, he tell you that they come to discuss COVID-19.
And I know that you will accept that from a prime minister who always tells you the truth. And I know that you will accept that from a prime minister who always tells you the truth.
Big oil company team come here and they come to discuss COVID-19. That's why you get it 4 times. I wonder how you get it if it's through the pipeline. You may be getting from the Dragon gas. You may be getting from the Dragon gas, Rowley. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you something, people. Let me tell you something. Sometimes I lie down at night. And then sometimes I get up and I sit down on that bed. And I just studying what would become of Omar and Sion and Shinil and other children who is within that age group. Sometimes I wonder what future this country would have in the next 2 years.
I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome.
Archie, play back that for me, boy. Play back that one for me, boy.
I
Archie,
do
boy.
not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome.
What's that? Let me tell you something. This is the prime minister. This is the man that I support. Let me tell you something. Nothing ever hurt me more in this world than have to tolerate Keith Rowley as a prime minister. You have moved from 100 to 0. In 7 years, This man take this country from 100%. Healthcare 100% better than how it was under Manning. Roads and infrastructure 100% better than how it was under the PNM. The economy 100% better than it was under the PNM. The Heritage and Stabilization Fund 100 better than how the PNM ever had it. Worse, Rowley who never contribute towards it. Crime 100% better managed than what we have under Rowley. People dying, people falling, 7 dead in 1 day. But Hines jamming still. Hines having a time for carnival. Water in your pipe 100% better. No new taxes 100% better. The removal of I think it was 7,000 items with VAT. Rowley have moved you from 100% better to zero, and all you're clapping and rejoicing. Well, I think I understand that the PNM party is a party of nothing. The more you give them nothing is more they support you. So take away the rest from them, Rowley. Take away the rest from them. It reminds me back to the days of slavery. Like the more pressure, the more blows you give them, is more they obedient to you, Rowley. Beat them. Beat them. I am very glad that I never in my veins have the blood of stupidity flowing in it. I'm glad that in my veins I never had the blood of PNM flowing in it. Because it seems like when you have the blood of PNM flowing in your brains, you become dotish, more dotish than the Balize plant. You can't tell me that you people who ought to be educated, even more educated than I am, and all you will support that and the behavior of that, and all you will clap and rejoice. Young people, people who should have some level of etiquette, people who should have some level of decency, people who should have some level of morality, people who should have some level of spirituality, people who should be proud. And as young professionals, demonstrating a high level of ethics, you people rejoice at every dotishness that this Skeet Rowley will stand up and tell you, because he tell you with a brass face. He stand up and tell you that he don't lie. And he prepared to stand the consequence of his action. You know why? Because he know that his supporters is as mules. He know that whatever load he put on the supporter back, they will tote it as a mule. Eric Williams once said, if Trinidad was a jack donkey, well, he put something under the tail down in Labrie, and I understand why. So I ain't going there. But he have a right to compare Trinidad as a donkey. Because the more weight the PNM put on you, is the more you carry the load. You people can provide food and shelter. But this man jumping and whining with your taxpayer dollar. drinking and eating and having a time and whining on young girls. Whining on young girls. And you people supports that. All you support that. All you happy, all you clap when he talk. He say, what do you and she expect me to do? Run! A girl whining on me and I should run!
But that looking like a girl whining on him with her hand wrapped around there, so that back.
That not back, that HGC. That HGC. Ransonanan, let me ask a question now. You know if anybody pay this girl to come and spend the day here? I don't know. You know who is responsible for buying the costume? You know if anybody responsible for buying the costume for she, Rohan? Rowley, where Madam Rowley, boy? Where Madam Rowley when you posting like this on social media? Where's Madam Rowley? But I ain't saying much more than that. Because respect for women I have. But I could tell you one thing. This young lady has no respect for herself. That I will say. She has no respect for herself. Because if she had respect for herself, she wouldn't be hooking up a man wife. A woman husband, sorry. Going down the road in this condition. Alcohol flowing. I see Anel drink some alcohol the other day, Archie. And I see Anel a woman, you know, don't feel I see him whining. But when I inquire, you know who is that woman? That is his woman. I want Rowley to tell we who woman is that. That's why you want him to tell us.
You mean whose child?
Who child is that? That is what he must tell us. Who child is that? Anil went on lime and had a time, but he hung up his woman tight. And he tried some ways too, you know. I mean, the waist was a little slow, but I mean, he tried some ways. He tried some ways. But everybody who flame and this and that, to the end of the day, when they done check and analyze and everything, because they feel they have some kind of bacchanal, but to the end of the day, the woman is Anel woman. That is his woman. I want Rowley to tell me who child is that he whining on. You see, this country that we call Trinidad and Tobago, it seems as though that no longer values have its place in society. It seems as though that the more an individual can demonstrate a high level of vulgarity, it seems as though that the population no longer understand that these individuals, these officers, should be held in high esteem. And as a prime minister, a president, a chief justice, a judge, a magistrate, that all these ministers and members of parliament, that they should be quick to strive to do not what is only right, but to guard and protect themselves. Not because of yourself, but because of the office that one holds. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the place where it seems as there is no hope. Actually, I doubt I send that clip for you, boy. I doubt. I send that clip for you. Where they fight in my son's school, where they kick down the teacher, where they kick down the... I don't know how I forget to send that clip for you. But it's on social media. And I think everybody have seen what is going on. And you know, after all this have said and done, after all this is said and done, you know to the end of the day, I am hearing to the end of the day that to the end of the story, the Minister of National Security condemns the behavior of the students. Minister of National Security, you rather condemn the behavior of the students first. The first line of condemnation, you should have stand up, call a press release, and tell this country, I condemn myself as the Minister of National Security because I have failed not only the students in these schools, but I have failed the country and the international community, and therefore I have since tendered my resignation. That is what you're supposed to be telling us, Hines. Because to the end of the day, you and Gaspy Dolly need to tell this country what you folks have put in place, what measures has been implemented to put a stop to the behavior that we are experiencing, not in Sipar West alone, but in several schools throughout the length and breadth of this country. Hines and Gaspy Dolly, what you two idiots waiting on for some parent to kill a child in a school? For some parent to take the law in their hands? For some family to massacre students in school? The problem is not just the students, but the problem stems from you, Hines and Gaspy Dolly, who haven't got a clue as to how to protect the students from themselves first. And secondly, to protect some parent who will soon take the law in their hands to defend a family member, whether it be a student or a wife. While you folks sit with your special branch bodyguards, and while your children attends the highfalutin schools, and while some of you will pay privately with taxpayers' money, so your children would not be exposed to what is happening in the nation's schools, the rest remains vulnerable to the elements of violence on a daily basis. I have evidence where children would bully children for extra box lunches to carry home for the family, while you, Hines and Gatsby, Dolly and Rowley and Manning and Rohan Sidanan and Alwari and Stuart Young, Camille Robinson Regis, the rest of the team will eat shrimps and drink scotch. They're bullying children, taking the box lunch to carry home for the siblings because of Keith Rowley. Because of Keith Rowley. And I know some idiot on Facebook will say, Roberts, you talking stupidness, or Rowley reaching that. Well, let me tell you something. You is a bigger idiot, because Rowley is the man who makes the policies that govern this country. And if you make policies that will increase direct investment, increase foreign investors, increase employment, then people would be able to provide for the family. You PNM idiot.
I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome. And I know that you will accept that from a prime minister who always tells you the truth.
Yes. That is what happening. Welcome, caller. Welcome, caller. Go ahead.
Good night, Mr. Robert, and good night, Archie.
Good night.
Mr.
Good night.
Robert, I want to start off with the Archbishop. I think he wants to be a politician. I think he should drop the clothes and put on a radio duty.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I want to talk about. That audience he had there, or he had here. The women have no shame either. The mothers have young people and show young daughters. They're not even giving them pepper straight ahead themselves. Look what is taking place in this country.
Huh.
And I want to tell Rowley, you talk about vulgarity. You are the most vulgar person. You are not cut out to be a prime minister. You don't have the quality for prime minister. Your body language is ridiculous and you're vulgar. And I want to tell you, that steel brush and bleach, or breathe, they call it, it's not only for this to scrub your dirty, filthy mouth. You all have a best night.
Yeah, okay, thank you, caller. Victor just taking a little water break. Till he come back, I just want to remind all the audience outside there that at 8 o'clock tonight, we'll have a rebroadcast of the press conference held earlier today. Welcome back, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Arch. Thank you, caller. You see, while these children fighting for box lunch in school, and we go open up the phone lines and take some calls. The number to call is 373-5488, 373-5488. While these children fighting for box lunch and bullying the weaker ones and taking away their lunches to carry home in the school bag, it is because of the policies that this government have implemented. And I'm going to bring Anita Haynes back on the program to see if she could help Gaspy Dolly to understand what is the roles and function of a Minister of Education. Because it seems like Gaspy Dolly understand what is the role and the function of a hairdresser. That is what she understands. And therefore we should send she to dress mannequin in stores. That is what we should send she to do. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Victor. Good night, Archie.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Victor, we're supposed to put a letter to the Pope in Rome to let them know that we have a bishop in our country that is not talking about the pedophile ring and talking about unjust things to the young children, because the Pope under the Catholic board in Rome.
Sorry, caller, we lost you there, like your money done, but I understand the pressure with this Rowley, yes? I understand the pressure. But I am telling you, this is what is taking place. Welcome, caller. Welcome,
Hello.
caller.
Hello, good night, Mr. Robert.
Good night, Ms. Santa
Archie,
Cruz.
and to everybody out here. That is the biggest lie he told you. He said he don't lie? That's one of the biggest lies he told you. Followed by, we not told you now, Petrotrin. And followed by the email. Rowley is getting delirious now. He's panicking because he know very soon it's going to hit the fan. He better learn to duck. Instead of lying, he better learn to duck. Because if he feels that we're going to forget that article written by Mark Bassan and the London Guardian, Rowley have another thing coming. You can't come, and you see his behavior there last night? The man was like a raging bull, a wajang, and lashing out at everybody. You're going to hit out at the DPP, but Rowley forget when he had to apologize to Justice Buru Singh for that same remark he used there last night. He had to end up apologizing to him. He feel now because he's Prime Minister, he don't want to apologize to anybody, but I will see that man on his knees soon. Keith Rowley cannot continue doing what it is he's doing and getting away with it. You spoke about the lunches, Mr. Roberts, right? Look at what they're doing to the scrapyard, the scrap iron dealers. Look at what they're doing to them. Which scrap iron dealer going to have some equipment in their establishment that's going to detect bad ID card and bad passport? They're trying all how to run these people out of business so somebody else could get it. And you see to those people, now, if you look at the tape where he talk about Watson Duke, you could see how one of the ladies felt so shame. She was hiding her face with the flag. That is the level of Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley knows no boundaries, and he feels that when he gets up there, he can say what he wants, to who he wants, and when he wants. But it's not working so again. And that email fiasco, he feels we forget about it, it's going to come back to bite him. Thanks a lot and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz. I don't know how these people could sit down in an audience to listen to what Keith Rowley have to say. I just don't know. And while the children continue to behave in a particular way, recently one of my family, Archie, offer a child.
Hello.
You have a call? Welcome, caller.
Yeah, hello. Good night, Mr. Robert.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Yeah, we black people like it too.
Well
We
said.
like it too.
Well
Break is the
said.
key on him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, brother. And you're correct, Kola, you are quite right. That's how they like it. One of my family offered this person some breakfast. I know what that child say. No, we doesn't eat nothing before we go to school in the morning. We doesn't eat nothing before we go to school in the morning. We just eat. So I nearly call my family name. So my family say, so how you mean? No, we just eat when we come home from evening, and that is it. So when that child go to school in the morning without a breakfast, and that child eat when they come home, whether 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that is it until the next day. So I mean, what would you expect? We normally say a hungry man is an angry man. But I mean, when you look at what is happening in school, is this one want to take with this one money? This one want, one of my family tell me that when they buy a aloo pie, boy, we had to put the hot aloo pie in we pocket, you know, because the bigger boys are them coming in line where we buying the pie and thing, and as we buy that pie in the canteen, boy, them taking that from we and eating it, boy. And then even getting we a piece, you know. I mean, that is the reality. So it's not just one thing. We just heading down a road, and all we do is make excuse for the stupidness and for the stupidity of those who lead us. That is what we do. So we have a bunch of people leading in government. Everybody doing their own thing. Nobody have a holistic plan to save this country. But we use arrogance, we use ignorance, and we use dotishness to control the mass crowd that support we. So anything we tell them, they believe. Let me tell you something. It has some things I don't listen to, you know. It has some things I don't listen to. And it has some people can't waste my time neither. Let me say that one time. It has some people can't waste my time. Because I don't have an ears to listen to dotishness. But it seems like that is what the PNM people love. Dotishness. They just love to hear that. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Comrade Atik and Comrade Victor.
Yes, Comrade.
I
You're
was
back.
saying, sorry, I have no money really done. I want to take a little guy here. Yeah. So I something I want to say quick before you done again.
Go ahead.
The Archbishop, we write a letter to Rome and let the Pope know that he's a politician standing up with pedophile people who commit pedophile act against children. And because he wanted to be a politician, let me write him and let it denounce him and let him go privately. Yes, and back to Christopher Lucifer. He is a fella that the political arena, 25 years, he don't lie. But here what's going on, honey goat weed is a side effect. Deal with the memory. There's lost memory. Because here what's going on is he campaign and he calls on them on the cocaine radio station down the road. On the street down there, the someone sidewalk. They talk about the Lambasset, and the thief and the thief and the thief and the thief. But here thiefing, they steal out everything. Half $1 trillion and counting more, and through the debt to the DP. Yeah? And he don't lie, and he don't, because that is why the African diaspora, that wouldn't lie. Because, sorry to say, Mr. Robert, that's how the male in those homes just tell the wife, I boy me have money, things bad, a short, I have, but outside of man living lavish. And when I come into the children, they leave it for some daycare, school to take care of it. $5 billion in ministry education, and no, $4 billion in education, and $5 billion in national security. Where the accountability is? No way. And you see it? They put them out at Eastport as Spain because they put them as pawn to hold the real estate, and now they come for it. Fifi and them laughing now at them. Have a nice night.
Thank you, caller. And you made a statement there which resonates in my mind. And I mean, it's factual when you spoke of the African diaspora. And you see, it is unfortunate that African people are their own downfall, because this is not about you see, it's not about defending the African government, you know. People miss the point, and they utilize that race inside of there to differentiate PNM, and as how Rowley love to use it, you know, the UNC and the UNC. But I know what he is signaling to his supporters when he say, and them UNC over there, and them UNC. The fact remains is this is not about defending, because I have said it on this program and I will continue to say it all the time. I am an individual that will not support any wrongdoing, even in the party that I belongs to. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, caller.
This is Mr. Arima speaking here. I'll be short and sweet.
Go ahead, Mr. Arima.
That statement Rowley made last night concerning America, right, where he going and join.
Mr. Arima, like your money done too. That is how Rowley had this country going. But coming back to the point, that is a fact. This is not about defending the African or defending the Indian. That is not what this is about. This have to be about defending what is right against that of what is wrong. And that is where my position lie. I am a firm member of the UNC, but I am not going to support what is wrong, period. I'm not going to support it in the UNC, and I'm not taking it in the PNM, and I'm being factual. And who have a problem with that, that's your business. I am not going to tolerate that. Welcome, caller.
Hi, Victor. Good night.
Good night.
It's been a while since I've spoken to you, man.
Hey, I now make out the voice, man. Well, I thought like you leave the country, you know. The last time I think I see you was in I Love Choka.
Nah. You know the life of a lawyer is always very busy.
I see that your partner, you know.
Big.
I
I
love
think
Choka.
vacancies in the DPP office. What going on? You can take a shot down there?
Maybe I should apply again. I have applied to that office so many times. But as the learned DPP would have said, that yes, it is the JLSC who has to deal with the hiring of person. I have been interviewed not once, not twice, 3 times there. I mean, I have had excelled. My qualifications alone was too high. But you know, the JLSC, one question I will never forget when I was asked, and you know what, I'll say it. I was asked about political affiliation. And how I would act towards political affiliation. And I was like, that doesn't arise as far as I'm concerned.
Big.
Because I told him, I said there were many persons who worked in the DPP's office who either were in politics or actually joined politics after.
Attorney Big.
Victor, tonight we on a tight schedule. At 8 o'clock we're doing a rebroadcast of the press conference, so we might have close up at 8 o'clock.
I will make it brief, actually.
But hear this, Big. Before you make it brief, if you want the job, borrow a wig from Gatsby Dolly.
What I will say is that the Director of Public Prosecution, using the fact that they're understaffed, is a piss poor excuse for the lack of work at the DPP's office. When the DPP has to understand that he could do things to ensure his office is well prepared and well able to handle. It is a sad day when our institutions in this country, it continues to collapse under the government of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And I am sorry to say, but I love the fact, and I always say it, I enjoy beating DPP lawyers. My good friend.
Thank you, my brother.
Day. Have a good night.
Thank you, my brother. I want to big up the tool man in DB as we wrap up. What's the name of that store again, boy? Tool Tech. So you want to big up Tool Tech on the SSA Road in DB. That is just after the police post in DB. If you go in south, for all your rental tools, make sure and check them out. Price is nice. Good customer service. Check them out. Tool Tech, that's on the SSA Road, okay? Here's where we'll have to leave it tonight, folks. As Archie would have said a while ago, we have a tight program tonight because there's a rerun that will be coming very shortly. Remember Douglas Politics tomorrow at 7:30. And, of course, all the other programs, Archie will announce it tomorrow for you. So until such time, we have to leave it here. I am saying good night. I out of here.
Media, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to our Friday media conference. Welcome to our press conference. On behalf of the United National Congress and our political leader and leader of the opposition, we welcome you to our press conference this morning, which will go into the afternoon period. We have called this press conference this morning to dismantle and disaggregate the tsunami of lies, Nancy stories, fake news, including fake emails, uttered among other matters at a public meeting last evening hosted by the PNM. And this morning we would like to address and focus on the statements made by our beleaguered Prime Minister, who clearly is on the defensive and on the back foot because he cannot deal with reality. He cannot deal with the truth. So he has continued his decade of lies, fake emails, and Nancy story and stories. So this morning, we have with us, I have with me my colleague in the Senate, the distinguished and honorable Anil Roberts, a former outstanding Minister of Sports in our nation. And he will address you on some aspects of this Prime Minister's and political leader of the PNM's statements last evening. Subsequent to his contribution, I will also zero in on some very disturbing matters coming out of that public meeting and spewing from the lips of a desperate Prime Minister. So at this point in time, I would like to introduce at the same time, and invite my distinguished and illustrious colleague, Senator Anil Roberts, to address you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, through this press conference. Anil, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honorable Senator Wade Mark. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to all right-thinking citizens. Those of you who had the unfortunate displeasure to listen to our Prime Minister unraveled, flustered, and just speaking from off of his forked tongue last night, I empathize with you. Wade Mark would deal with some of the critical issues that came up, the lies out of his mouth. But what Trinidad and Tobago has realized, and you don't need Senator Mark or the UNC or our honorable leader to tell you, this is the worst time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago across the board in any sphere. Crime and criminality runs at a pace never before seen. And the Honorable Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs of the PNM, Sagram Singh Suklal, said it correctly, and I concur with her, that the PNM champions crime and criminality. She said it on her platform in red. So we in the UNC endorse the statements of the Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs. These children, education is at its lowest ebb. SEA results its worst. CSEC Cape results the worst. Fights and criminality, abuse and indiscipline in our nation's schools. The country is jobless. The homelessness has increased in our capital city, across all cities, across San Fernando, Burroughs, Arima. Homelessness is at an all-time high. The government has collapsed. They're incompetent at every level. The energy sector has collapsed. They're selling dreams about dragon gas, which at its best, with its most efficient implementation and approval of cash payments by the US, can only be monetized in 5 years' time. Yet they sell you dreams as you drive on roads to bust your tires and rims. The situation is dire in Trinidad and Tobago. Those who hold high office have desecrated the office. Prime Minister Keith Rowley sits as Prime Minister and has embarrassed the office of Prime Minister, where our children cannot look up to him in any form or fashion. He is a stranger to the truth. His actions and his management around women in his cabinet and those who are close to his ministers is deplorable at best. His ability to communicate in the most disrespectful manner, drunk or sober, is one that cannot be tolerated by the people. His policies of the rich getting richer have increased the poverty line to 30.7%. Yet he comes to ensure that property tax will come upon you as he prepares to put and plant Balize flag at President's house in 10 days' time. The Keith Rowley administration has disrespected every independent institution, the Parliament, the Integrity Commission, the Police Service Commission, the Commissioner of Police Office. They've interfered in the Integrity Commission. They've starved the critical offices of DPP, the Judiciary, and the Children's Authority of resources in a time when resources are needed to protect our children, our women, our citizens, and to keep the wheels of justice turning. Keith Rowley is a complete and total failure. And to exacerbate that, he has brought the entire cabinet into disrepute. An office named the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago has long been one that has been revered. that the highest order, the most intelligent, the most respected attorneys of great ilk and experience have held that office, from since Ellis Clark to Carl Hudson Phillips, to Russell Martino, to Keith Sobian, to Anand Ram Logan, to Ramesh Lawrence Miraj. Keith Christopher Rowley found 2 attorneys general, and they have brought that office into disrepute like no one could have envisaged. First, right now, he has an attorney general sitting there, Reginald Armour, who has not only cost the country and the taxpayers $64 million because of his incompetence, his inability to manage, his lack of work ethic. He is on record in an international jurisdiction as signing an affidavit fraught with falsehood and lies and perjuring himself in a court of foreign jurisdiction while representing the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. He claimed that a file was lost when the citizens now have to pay $20 million. Then before him, we thought we could go no lower, but Faris Al-Rawi was made Attorney General by Keith Rowley. Faris Al-Rawi came in as Attorney General, and the first thing he did was recuse himself from cabinet 50 times to benefit himself, his family, his close family, and his friends. He recused himself and changed the paradigm of governance, corporate governance, structure, propriety, what is right in a cabinet, and those decision makers changed the benchmark for life, that a cabinet minister could step out and have coffee while his colleagues approve $23 million, which has transformed now to $46.6 million in rent over the last 7 years, plus a further $38 million of taxpayers' money to outfit his building to benefit himself. Faris Al-Rawi was not only a disgrace, losing 30 cases in a row, but he brought some of the worst legislation in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, and at every juncture, his legislation brought has been overturned by the courts of law. Faris Al-Rawi right now and Reginald Armour, including the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, there is no legislative agenda. On Tuesday, the Senate did not sit. We are here on Friday, and the Parliament does not sit because they have no laws, they have no ideas, they have no concept, they have no ability to impact your lives. They are running this government like a parlor, and even you who run parlors could do a better job. Port of Spain is dead. They rent for sale, alquiler in Spanish, benga, all of those, over 40% of buildings that were in operation and conducting business in 2015 when Kamla Persad-Bissessar was Prime Minister have closed down. The city of Port of Spain is dead, and they are fighting and loggerheads. But the PNM has been in charge of the city of Port of Spain as long as Port of Spain has been independent since 1962 and even before. But the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, we are going to deal with him now, because an Attorney General sets the tone. The cabinet consists of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. The UNC, the United National Congress, and Kamla Persad-Bissessar brought a critical issue to the fore 2 years ago. And it involved an amalgam of serious players, but had dire consequences for our democracy. It showed possibilities of bribery, inducements, manipulation, perverting the course of justice, interfering with witnesses in criminal proceedings, interfering in the very appointment of a police commissioner. All of these were intertwined in what the UNC brought forward, and was illustrated by the transfer or lack thereof of a Porsche Cayenne vehicle from one Attorney General, Faris Al-Rawi, to an attorney, Roger Kewal Singh, who was also simultaneously on the Police Service Commission and a lawyer representing Vincent Nelson, a man who changed his testimony and his advice on the Malcolm Jones issue, which allowed the PNM to thwart a case that the Kamla Persad-Bissessar administration had brought against Malcolm Jones to recoup 98 million pounds of your money. Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, who was the former attorney of Malcolm Jones, Faris Al-Rawi and the PNM took it out of court, and we were the laughing stock of the Privy Council because of political interference in the judicial process. That was Vincent Nelson who changed his detailed senior counsel opinion to a one paragraph to say that the case would not be successful. This same Vincent Nelson is the one who Faris Al-Rawi negotiated an indemnity which will live in infamy in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the Commonwealth as an Attorney General overstepping his bounds, breaching the Constitution and going into the realm of the independent office of the DPP to interfere, to interface, to negotiate, to discuss, to bribe, to pay fees, to pay court cases, to settle matters, to pay legal fees for a man who confessed to criminal activity to turn witness in a criminal proceeding against opposition members. There can be nothing more corrupt than that. And the UNC brought out and said, here it is that an attorney general selling his car, the only person out of 1.4 million Trinbagonians and 200,000 illegal Venezuelans, the only person that the Honorable Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi could find to sell his Porsche Cayenne to was Roger Kewal Singh, an attorney for a man in a negotiation with an illegal indemnity to persecute and prosecute two political opponents. Could Faris not sell his car to anyone else? But then the issues came up about non-transfer. You have 2 weeks to transfer by law, 4 or 5 years. The Transport Commissioner Clive Clark could not find it. Then he came to say that we cannot say yes or no whether it was transferred. Faris Al-Rawi proffered a letter to say that he sent some lady to transfer it. That is illegal. You cannot do that. But he also printed in the Express some check purporting to be 600,000 payment from Roger Kewal Singh to Faris Al-Rawi for the Porsche Brown Cayenne 2012 PCY 84. Faris Al-Rawi came into the Parliament during the Appropriations Bill debate on Friday, 8 October 2021, and in responding to the queries of the opposition about this sale or non-sale, lack of transfer, how much you paid, did you pay, why did you sell to this person, didn't you think it was a conflict of interest? Faris Al-Rawi said in his arrogant tone on the Friday the 8th October 2021, I can tell you that in item 6 here is what described and filed in the Integrity Commission. A Porsche Cayenne, and in that asked me to confirm that the sale of that same vehicle, PCY 84, remember earlier he said PCS 84, declared to them since 2016 was to be included under the heading Gains and Profits, Disposal of Motor Vehicles. It is a matter of record at the Integrity Commission, says Faris Al-Rawi, that I replied on the 26th of February 2021, confirming that inquiry. Well, many people, including myself, let that pass, moved on to other issues, other scandals like Nelson Gate, Police Service Commission, corruption in the PNM, the school crisis, crime crisis. But something clicked in my mind and we went on to do some further research. And it has come to my attention and the attention of the United National Congress that Faris Al-Rawi, in fact, owned in 2016, January 1st, 2 Porsche Cayennes. One PCY 84, a black 2012, brown 2012 model that was the subject of all the inquiries about being sold to Roger Kewal Singh. And another one, PCS 84, a black Porsche Cayenne 2010 model that he also sold in early 2016 to one Zahir Mohammed or another citizen. The current owner now is Zahir Mohammed. So if you all are not following, or if it's confusing, because it could be confusing to a normal citizen, who would think that anybody would have two Porsche Cayennes within 2 years of each other, first and foremost? And then secondly, who would think that a human being would take the same number, PCS 84, and then PCY 84? Who would think that that is possible? But it is in the mind of Faris Al-Rawi, and in actuality, he owned two Porsche Cayennes. So therefore, one, Faris Al-Rawi, we will have a lot of questions for you. But what we are saying here in the United National Congress is, if in his filings for 2016, Faris Al-Rawi did not disclose or declare to the Integrity Commission the sale of two separate, disparate Porsche Cayennes, one being PCY 84 and one being PCS 84, for the exact same price of $600,000, totaling 1.2 million, then the police need to talk to Faris Al-Rawi. Earl Christopher, your fraud squad needs to investigate and take a statement from Faris Al-Rawi. Now, you must understand that this is a very critical matter. So members of the media, because we believe that the media is the key to democracy, I will leave you here with some questions for Faris Al-Rawi, for the Integrity Commission, for Mr. Roger Kewal Singh, and for Mr. Clive Clark, the Transport Commissioner, because this is a very serious matter, as I said. It shows potential corruption, bribery, influence, intimidation, machinations, lies, concoctions, misbehavior in public office, and attempting to thwart the course of justice. Faris Al-Rawi, former Attorney General, did you own two separate Porsche vehicles in or on January 1st, 2016? Were the registration numbers of these two Porsche Cayenne vehicles PCY 84 and PCS 84? Was PCS 84 a black 2010 Porsche model? Was PCY 84 a brown 2012 model? Did you sell both of these Porsche vehicles in the period 2016? Did you declare the sale of both of these vehicles to the Integrity Commission for the period covering early 2016? Did you sell both of these vehicles around the same time in early 2016 for the exact same price of $600,000? If so, please explain how a 2010 model can be the same price as a 2012 model, both being sold in January, February of 2016. Did you make two separate bank deposits for $600,000 in early 2016? Please, provide your bank statements to show the deposits. And if you do not, Earl Christopher, you should produce production orders to investigate those accounts. Did you mislead the Parliament and the country, Faris Al-Rawi, when you stated that PCS 84 on Hansard, and you referred to the same vehicle in 2021 when you then stated PCY 84? Did you transfer, Faris Al-Rawi, PCY 84 to Roger Kewal Singh in January 2016? Did you receive and deposit a check from Roger Kewal Singh in January 2016? Please show us the cancelled check after it was deposited, the statement of your account in January 2016 showing a deposit of $600,000 from Roger Kewal Singh and a deposit from Zahir Mohammed or another citizen for another $600,000, totaling $1.2 million in January, February 2016. What is your superstition about 84, Faris Al-Rawi? The country would like to know, because it seems to be that the government is unstable You are now in local government. Local government is collapsing. Corporations are being starved of money. Maybe it is because we are not in 1984, or you're not playing basketball in an 84 jersey, or you like 84 Porsches and you have 82. We don't know what is your obsession with 84. And also finally for you, Faris, how were you able to get the exact same number 2 years apart from the Transport Commissioner? How is that possible? I'm sure a lot of citizens would like to know how you're so lucky to get that exact number. To the Integrity Commission, questions for you. For the 2016 reporting period, did Faris Al-Rawi, then Attorney General, declare proceeds from sale of assets being $1.2 million, or i.e., 2 Porsche vehicles being sold in that period? Were the registration numbers of these 2 vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, declared at that time? In his previous year's filings, did Faris Al-Rawi file these 2 vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, either as assets or liabilities as loans for the purchase of these vehicles? In his filings for the period 2017 and 2018, after the said sale, did these vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, form any part of his filings for those years? In 2021 Integrity Commission, did the Integrity Commission have cause to write to Faris Al-Rawi seeking clarification for PCY 84? Did you have the need to get clarification? If so, what was the reason for the query? Why would there need to be a query if, as Faris said, everything was above board and he had declared in 2016 PCY 84 being sold for $600,000? Why would you need to query in 2021? Did you, Integrity Commission, allow Faris Al-Rawi to correct a previous omission to declare PCY 84? Did you allow him to do that in 2021? If so, should this have been allowed? Is this consistent with the policy and the law of the Integrity in Public Life Act? Why was he allowed to do so if he was allowed to do so? Should action have been taken for failure to declare? And if so, why was this action not taken by the Integrity Commission? And now for Commissioner of Police Erla Christopher, who seems eager to investigate, and I wish her all the best. Will you investigate this matter, Erla Christopher, of the missing Porsche? Will you get statements from Roger Kewal Singh and Faris Al-Rawi? Will you get the bank statements of both men for the period January and February 2016? Will you find out from which bank account did Roger Kewal Singh pay into what bank account of Faris Al-Rawi's? Which checkbook? If they are not willing to show you this offhand, will you produce production orders and get a warrant for these accounts? And to Roger Kewal Singh, do you find it appropriate to buy a vehicle from the Attorney General when you are on the Police Service Commission? You are an attorney receiving briefs from the government, and the Attorney General is the one who's in charge of distributing briefs throughout. Do you not find it to be a conflict of interest? Could you not buy a Porsche Cayenne from Inshant Ismail, or from whichever motors there along the highways, Porsche, or from any other dealer in Trinidad and Tobago, or any other citizen who wanted to sell a second-hand Porsche? Did you think it appropriate to buy the Attorney General's Porsche when you are benefiting from the largesse being offered by an Attorney General, Roger Kewal Singh? In Trinidad and Tobago, we see and we ask these questions because there are many other issues. But one has to ask why. Why is the PNM thwarting the work of the DPP? Why is the PNM under-resourcing the Children's Authority in light of a Judith Jones report 15 months ago showing and alluding to abuses of the highest order. One would think that a government who had a Judith Jones report would overfund the Children with Authority, would keep it to its maximum capacity, hire more people to protect our children. You would think that a government facing the worst crime scourge in our history would ensure that the DPP's office and the judiciary is working flawlessly. So why PNM? Why Rowley? Why are you starving these critical agencies of funding? I proffer there are some cases that the cabinet would benefit if the judicial system crunches to an halt. We are still awaiting information and the completion of the Camille Robinson Regis cash 143,000 deposit and false declaration. What happened to that? Where is that investigation? We're still waiting on the fake oil investigation and report of the police. When Gary Griffith was there, he said that all he needed was an expert to verify. Where is that? Where are those resources? The UNC would like updates on the investigation into Keith Rowley, on his declaration and lack thereof of his Inez Gate property, and his lack of declaring a benefit of $468,000 on the purchase, as well as the declaration of a false piece of information stating that the value of the Inez Gate property was $1.2 million when he paid $36,400 in stamp duty, which equates to a value of $1.68 million. Did not declare. Where's the investigation in that? Lack of declaration is a criminal offense. What about the misbehavior in public office that Senator Nakid has been asking the DPP and the police on Rowley's intervention with Paula May Weeks to force Bliss C. Prasad, a public official, to misbehave in public office and breach Section 123(4) of the Constitution? Where is that investigation? Where is the investigation into a teacher in 1969 who used his position of power to have sexual intercourse with a girl of school age and impregnate that girl? Where is the investigation into that? There is no statute of limitations on that investigation. Where is the investigation on Foster Cummins and Venture Credit Union? How did MTS pay money to Venture Credit Union, not having any contract with them to do any work whatsoever, and then Venture Credit Union depositing that money into the personal account of Foster Cummins, a PNM minister? Where has that investigation reached? What about the investigation into Keith Rowley for Emailgate and wasting police time because he knew what he had was not emails? He knew he was lying. His Hansard record is replete with investigations and examples of why he was coming to lie, and he did not take ownership of anything he had. He held those fake documents for 6 months while he claims someone's life was in jeopardy. Isn't that not wasting police time? Isn't there a criminal charge called wasting police time? What about the Bridgeman's money? There are lots of investigations to take place, but the DPP's office is being thwarted. They're being under-resourced. 58 out of 129 attorneys, no resources. And the DPP is now being blamed by Keith Christopher Rowley for shirking his duty and not doing his job. Rowley is dangerous to the democracy. And help our
Roberts for that comprehensive expose. Now, members of the media, there are some issues I would like to elaborate upon, given what my slave owners and masters of this plantation, with the vast majority of citizens being their private property, that they can do anything they want with. They can abuse the people at will, be secret and complacent, lacking transparency and accountability in all that they do. And what are we witnessing today? We are witnessing a situation where the Prime Minister, just a few hours ago, attempted to do a couple things that require further clarification. The first area that we like to bring to your attention is this. Why would a Prime Minister, in his capacity as political leader of a party, mount a platform and brazenly attack a constitutionally independent office in our republic? I am referring to Section 90 of our Constitution, where we have the office that is protected by our Constitution, known as the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. I listened to the Prime Minister, and on the one hand, in one breath, the Prime Minister tells Trinidad and Tobago that the wheels of justice turn very slowly, but it eventually turns. And he has no complaint, no problems whatsoever with what has happened in the courts. Read the discontinuation of the corruption case. And as he said that in one breath, in the other breath, what did he do, Anil? He launched an all-out assault on the office of Director of Public Prosecutions. Is it because of this? But it can't be. The DPP has been complaining, as Anil said, for several years now, as it relates to the shortage of staff. Was it about the building that the government acquired for 3 years, paying millions upon millions of dollars, and that building is still not occupied? Why did the Prime Minister use a political platform and not the Parliament if he wanted to raise issues surrounding the operations of the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions? No. You know why he went like a raging bull and attacked the independent office of the DPP? He didn't say it, but he said it. The Prime Minister is unhappy with the DPP's decision, Anil, to discontinue the corruption case against Basdio Pandey and Omar Pandey, Carlos John and Ishwa Galbran Singh. And he comes out openly and attacks the office of Director of Public Prosecutions. And not only did he attack by making all kinds of statements last evening, he talked about relationships between what? Special branch and the DPP. What relationships is the Prime Minister talking about? And when he tells the country, he could reveal more, but he won't do it now. He will leave that for some other day. Is the Prime Minister threatening the Director of Public Prosecutions? Roger Gaspard, SC, is the Prime Minister, by his reckless and irresponsible assault, is he attacking the entire office of the Director of Public Prosecutions? Members of the media, this is unforgivable. This is reprehensible. Why did the Prime Minister use a political platform to attack the independent, constitutionally protected office of our Director of Public Prosecutions? We wish to strongly and wrongly condemn the conduct of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is seeking to undermine and subvert the independent office of the DPP. Is he trying to frustrate Gaspard, Roger Gaspard, into leaving the office of the DPP? What is the objective of the Prime Minister? He quoted some letter from some woman called, I think she's the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, some Joan Honoré Paul. But he spoke about her in glowing terms. But in the case of Gaspard, he was bitter, rancorous, as he unleashed fire and brimstone on the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. May I remind Trinidad and Tobago and the people of this country, the Solicitor General who resigned, or when I say resigned, retired, about a year or just under ago, appeared to have been under the complete control of the former Attorney General. The former Attorney General, who Anna just referenced, sought to control the independent office of the Chief Parliamentary Council, the CPC. McIntyre, Mr. Ian McIntyre, had to fight back the attempt by Faris Alwari to control his office. They were trying to control the CPC. And no doubt, this assault by the Prime Minister on the office of the independent DPP is a continuation of the assault, attack, subversion, and undermining of these independent office. And if I may remind you, the Chief Justice has also been raising issues about Gaspard. He has been attacking in close court, open and close courts. He has been raising issues about this office holder. So the question that Trinidad and Tobago is asking, is there some kind of relationship between the both offices? This is what the people are asking. Is there an attempt to get rid of the office holder, Roger Gaspard? These are questions. I cast no aspersions, but these are questions that people are asking. Members of the public, members of the media, I want to let you know that the media was attacked openly last night by this Prime Minister. You know, people are beginning to ask the question whether the Prime Minister is showing early symptoms of long COVID, because his conduct, his behavior, his utterances is being questioned now. He said he can't remember sitting down by some owner of a famous brothel in Trinidad and Tobago. He can't remember that. And there's a picture of the man in almost animated conversation with this individual. But he says he can't remember. He tells us he can't remember whining on a 17-year-old child at a carnival event in San Fernando. He can't remember. In fact, he turned it around. He said, she whined on he. He didn't whine on she. He can't remember. It reminds me when they broke the U.S. sanctions and allowed a flight to come in from Venezuela during COVID. And all these people went to Diplomatic Center, that delegation led by the Vice President. And when they asked him about it, he said he can't remember. He didn't know these people. So the question here, is the Prime Minister suffering from amnesia? Is he suffering from dementia? Is he suffering from long COVID? I think the time has come when the people of Trinidad and Tobago must demand a fitness certificate. Is the Prime Minister in good health? He must provide to the people of this country a fitness certificate to determine if he's in good health, because he's making outrageous statements. He attacks the media. Why? Because the media is doing its work. He's telling the media, when you're doing your work, you must go and do this and that. I didn't know he was the editor of the Express, or he was the editor of the Guardian, or the editor of the Newsday. You know what is happening? This man believes he's a tin god dictator. He believes he's a modern day plantation owner. He believes that he can tell people what he wants, when he wants. Well, I have a message for him, you know. You see in the UNC, he asked that Wade Mack and Anil Roberts and Kamla and Rodney Charles leave him alone. Well, let me tell the Prime Minister, there will be no leaving you alone. We will continue to expose your corrupt ways in this country until you are removed by the people lawfully through a general elections in this country. He did not stop there when he attacked the media, you know. He attacked Justice Buru Singh. He attacked a judge. A judge that sits on the bench as we speak, because he was not happy with the then Attorney General going to the courts, telling the courts, listen, it makes no sense extraditing these people who are charged with corruption. There's a case going on, it will be heard here, and that is the right place for it to be heard. Justice Buru Singh, as an independent judge, supported the submission. The Prime Minister last night waded into Justice Buru Singh. Why would you raise the name of Justice Buru Singh, or if not the name? Why would you refer to that case? It is a subtle attack on the independence of the judiciary in our country. So this raging bull is not only attacking the office of the DPP, the media houses, but he's also attacking the judiciary of our nation. I want to remind the media, he seems to be obsessed with Cambridge Analytica. I want to remind the media that the pink hair fella, who made all kinds of allegations against the UNC, when the police went to London to beat him, he cannot be found. The pink hair man cannot be found. And I may remind Dr. Rowley, if he's suffering from amnesia or long COVID, that case has been closed. Cambridge Analytica is dead. Just like Emailgate was closed. The former Commissioner of Police closed the file on Emailgate. And no amount of quoting from Joan Paul Honoré will reopen that case. The Integrity Commission threw out that case, that matter. The Police Commissioner closed that matter. Google closed that matter. But Rowley has opened it. I know why he has opened it. I'll tell you why. You see this? You see this article? He ran like a rabbit in a hole because he did not want to speak on this issue. We are going to bolt to the chest of Keith Christopher Rowley and his gang of 40 thieves. This matter, and you know what's the name of the team? Jorge. Team Jorge. Led by a fellow called Al Hanan. Journalists like your good self went underground in France and they discovered an Israeli covert team that was operating in England and in France, conducting campaigns of disinformation in order to have a determination on the outcome of elections in England and France. And they discovered accidentally a businessman named who our former Prime Minister referred to on Monday night. She simply asked, Mr. Andrew Gabriel, could you tell us if you are the big businessman with deep pockets that was hired, or you hired this team from Israel to drop what? The Emailgate. Emailgate was drawn up by an Israeli team called Team Jorge. And you know what? The Prime Minister must tell us, what role did he play in this matter? This is a criminal matter involving the Prime Minister. And Ola Hereward Christopher should call in the Prime Minister and have this matter investigated. And this businessman with deep pockets, who is purported to have recruited this particular covert team from Israel that hacked into the emails of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago between 2010 and 2015. So members of the media, these are the issues that the Prime Minister wanted to avoid. But I want to tell him he can't avoid it. They are facing you, Mr. Prime Minister. What say you on this big businessman with deep pockets, closely connected with your party, that hired a team called Jorge? And they hacked and they constructed They were the architects of the email gate. The emails. The email gate. And you want to run from that? And quoting Honorable Paul? No, Mr. Prime Minister. Fake news. Lies. And as I'm on this one, let me just indicate to you. When our leader talked about persecution of UNC members, that is a fact, Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, if you don't know, let me remind you of a Privy Council judgment. Look at here. Look at Privy Council judgment here. 5 law lords sat on an appeal matter and they ruled. I want the media, I don't have the time, but I would like the media to pay attention to the role of the former Attorney General, a fellow called John Jeremy. Look at paragraph 77. Read paragraph 78, 79, 80. Read paragraph 86 of this report and paragraph 86, right, of this report says that when all the various sources of concern are considered together, the observer would be likely to agree with the appellant's submission that the January 2008, by 2008, the chief magistrate was hopelessly compromised. This is what they said. Sherman McNichols, he's dead and may his soul rest in peace. But he went into a deal involving $400,000 that was arranged for him while he was sitting on a matter involving Basdio Pandey. That is what, and the court dismissed the effort by the government and the whoever appealed, the Attorney General office. And that is why Mr. Pandey won his case. So what is that? That is political manipulation of the system by this corrupt PNM government. So don't come and tell the country everything was done above board. What was done above board? Read the judgment of the Privy Council and it tells you the political machinations of the PNM, former Attorney General in this matter, and the sitting Chief Magistrate, Sherman McNichols. That is what this is about. So don't come here and try to mama-guide the population. The Prime Minister is unfit for office. He's unfit for office. And he's talking about the day of reckoning. Yes, the day of reckoning is coming, Mr. Prime Minister. You sat for 7 years and you failed to proclaim and operationalize the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Act. The regulator said for every year that passed without that act being proclaimed and operationalized, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, lost close to $6 billion. So in a 7-year period, we lost $42 billion. Thanks to Dr. Keith Rowley and his gang of 40 thieves. We lost $40 billion because of his failure to proclaim and operationalize. And he's talking about integrity. He's talking about white-collar crime and criminality. So what is this? This is white-collar criminality that you are promoting, you are facilitating, and you refuse to proclaim the law, and you come like a hypocrite, lies dripping from your lips, trying to redeem yourself. Hellfire for you, Mr. Dr. Rowley. Hellfire awaits you. You have brought our country to its knees, and you're blaming everybody. The latest one, he blaming Biden in the United States. He tells Biden, the most powerful country in the world, the United States. He tells President Biden, put your house in order. Take care, them gun manufacturers who let gun come down here, you take care of that. I want to tell the Prime Minister, there's exit and there's entry. So even though guns are exiting the United States, it's coming in here, entry. And it is coming through legal ports. What is the Prime Minister doing? He's allowing these guns to come into this country without any proper scanners in place. And then you want to blame the customs officer. You want to blame the police. You want to blame other security personnel. You can't be serious, man. Yes, man. Yes. And just even if you look into these papers, you will see where a gentleman by the name of Gavin Hirad,
security expert,
as a security expert, saying if you want to deal with human trafficking, fix the borders, fix it, close your borders, regulate your borders. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want to go back to a gentleman who lied openly, brazenly to the courts in Florida. His Grace Attorney General. Look at it here. In your papers, Sunday Express. He failed to file. Failed to file, you know. Well, we want to ask, who is going to pay for this? The millions of dollars involving the removal of the general manager of the Deposit Insurance Company. We have these questions for Mr. Reginald Amor before I close. Given that you missed the Dance Corporation, they dismissed this gentleman back then. So I want to ask the Attorney General, why did you miss the deadline for filing statements in this matter? Do you, Mr. Attorney General, intend to indemnify, reimburse the people of Trinidad and the Deposit Insurance? Were you insured for professional negligence at the material time? And have you given notice to your insurers about this matter to ascertain whether they would indemnify in Chambers, Vanessa Gopal and Elena Arajo for the state in why? Do you think this matter should be reported to the disciplinary committee of the Law Association? These are questions that we have. And for Mr. Alvin, close to the public. And we want Hillier, Dr. Alvin Hillier, to answer this.
Rowley's neighbor.
Has the DIC requested a refund of the legal fees paid to Mr. Amon to remove them? And finally, does the Deposit Insurance Corporation intend to sue Reginald Amon, Gopal, right, and Elena Arajo in other legal matters? And if so, has any are willing to take any questions from the media on what we have just intimated and shared with the national community? So we'll pause at this time and invite the media to ask any questions to my colleague and myself on the issues that we have raised.
And just for will be.
What are you talking about specifically?
Both what you raised, more specifically, what Mr. Roberts raised, in terms of the allegations brought against Mr. Alwari. Any of that was brought to the attention of the police? I know you publicly called on the commissioner to intervene, but have you?
Well, first and foremost, I would like the media to get these questions so that the police can do their job. However, now that you have suggested it, because you see, the UNC believes that independent institutions should function without being prodded, without being political. So for the UNC to put it and to make a report, we would hope that the information coming from the opposition through the independent media would facilitate an independent institution to act. If they do not act, then yes, the UNC will make the police report full and provide all the information.
I just want to add to my colleague, human trafficking. That discussion, arguments were raging in the public space. What did Ella here, what Christopher do? She didn't wait for anybody to write her, you know. The commissioner of police thought this matter was so serious. She did her own investigations and she ordered a probe into this matter. So as Anil said, not everything you have to write to the police. Once it is in the public domain, that is why I asked for the police to investigate this matter of the email gate with the hacking of the former Prime Minister's service. Her email were hacked, and there's an architect that brought the email gate scandal into being. A rich businessman closely connected to the PNM. We have called on the Commissioner of Police to have this matter investigated. The Prime Minister has to answer questions on this issue of email gate. Any further questions from the media?
Yeah, just following up on that. The reason why I asked whether or not you do that, in the past they have been saying that without a report they can't act. Somebody needs to report an offense or what they think might be an offense for the police to act. Lately they have been launching investigations without official reports, but you would still need a complainant in a matter, virtual complainant in a matter. So again, would you be making an official report?
Well, as you have noticed, that is an excuse that is used. The police have the power under the Constitution to investigate any matter that they deem or they have reasonable suspicion exists. The police is a very powerful organization. That is what interferes with the Police Service Commission, who's in charge of selecting and recommending members of the public who would like to serve as the independent commissioner of police. It is a very dangerous thing. So we have brought the information. You are here from the said. When it then gets into the media and the attention of the police, they should independently begin the investigation. Am I, now that you have suggested, going to report? I can tell you, if I do not see movement in 8 days, I will go and report and give the police and show the media my report registration and my slip and so on, all the information that I have. But we truly believe as a United National Congress government that independent institutions must act on their own. Integrity Commission should not need to be prodded. The police should not need to be prodded. The Children's Authority should act without report. Once they feel that there could be something going wrong, investigate and protect children. Independent offices like the DPP, a UNC government under Kamala Persad-Bissessar gave the DPP money without any discussion. So they were up at 85% of their quota of lawyers and so on. They are now below 35%. They cannot operate because Keith Rowley's cabinet willfully withholds resources from the DPP, and then the Prime Minister comes to attack him. The UNC is totally separate and apart from Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley wants to control every arm of government. Kamala Persad-Bissessar has shown that when she has executive power, she controls and she allows corporate governance to flow. One person for one board, one member to one board. I see in today's papers a lady, Ingrid Lashley, for example, speaking out on matters. She is on 9 different boards of the PNM. She is Keith Rowley's neighbor. In Inez Gate, where Keith Rowley lives, right next door is Alvin Hilaire, the central bank governor, who should be independent. But he got his job. How? Because they fired Jawala Rambaran, and the acting president, Christine Kangaloo, approved the firing of Jawala Rambaran and then the upliftment of Alvin Hilaire, who's Rowley's neighbor. Also Rowley's neighbor, Newman George, on 7 boards. Also Rowley's neighbor, Bridget Anisette George, the Speaker of the House. Also Rowley's neighbor, Gilbert Peterson, lawyer for the Commission of Inquiry into Paria, man who's now in bunkering. Interlocking directorships mean corruption. Rowley came to Parliament and gutted procurement legislation which is there to protect the money. That means you're making it easier for people to steal. So the UNC believes independent institutions must act. If they do not act, then I am taking your advice and I will, on behalf of the UNC, make the report to the police.
Any further questions, members of the media?
Nothing, that's it.
That's it. Okay, members of the media, on behalf of my colleague, Senator Anil Roberts, on behalf of the United National Congress, the alternative government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we'd like to thank you on behalf of our political leader and leader of the opposition and this country's next Prime Minister for coming to this important press conference this morning. We look forward to seeing you at our Sunday press conference, which, as you know, is a weekly event, and we will have more to say on national issues and matters affecting the citizens of our beloved republic. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and good afternoon.
Douglas Politics, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Douglas Politics Live. Hey, PNM Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs.
I understand that the last time I welcomed the next speaker to this political platform trended for several days on Douglas Politics.
Yes, girl. You and all your PNM. Log on, 7:30 p.m. Douglas Politics. Rowley, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. I said tomorrow night because I'm doing this on Friday night. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m.